Patricia Whitmore stole my $200,000 tractor in broad daylight, cut the chains on my barn, hauled it away while I slept. The HOA president, blonde hair, pink blazer, pearl necklace, smiled at community meetings. But behind that smile was a thief. When I confronted her, she laughed, showed me forged property surveys. This is HOA property now, my father's land, 40 acres, 3 generations, and she thought she could just take it. But I had something she didn't know about. GPS tracking, recording every move, every property she used my tractor on, every illegal dollar she pocketed. Watch until the end because her meltdown in front of the entire HOA board is absolutely legendary. The courtroom verdict, even better. Comment below and tell me where you're watching from. I want to see how far across America this story reaches. Let's map out everyone who's done with HOA corruption. I stood in my equipment barn at 6:47 a.m., coffee mug frozen halfway to my lips. The door was open, not unlocked. Open. Chains, heavy-duty hardened steel chains I'd installed myself, cut clean through. Bolt cutters. Professional job, and my tractor was gone. My $200,000 John Deere 8R410. Custom GPS system, 400 horsepower. The machine that planted every acre of my 40-acre farm. The equipment my father saved 15 years to buy before he died. Gone. I dropped the mug. Ceramic shattered across concrete. My hands started shaking, not from cold, from pure adrenaline shooting through my veins like electricity. This wasn't possible. I lived 3 miles outside Austin, Texas. My property, Mitchell Family Farm, established 1967, sat on land my grandfather cleared with his bare hands. 40 acres of the best soil in Travis County. No mortgage, no debt, just me, the land, and equipment I maintained like family. That tractor was my livelihood, my entire spring planting season. Corn contracts worth $180,000 depended on getting seeds in the ground within the next 2 weeks. Without that tractor, I had nothing. I yanked my phone from my pocket, fingers fumbling. Pulled up the GPS tracking app. Yeah, I'm that paranoid. Every piece of equipment over $50,000 gets tracked. My insurance agent suggested it, said equipment theft was rising in rural areas. The app loaded. Blue dot appeared on the map. My tractor was moving, heading east, away from my property, down County Road 145 toward the Willow Creek HOA community. My brain couldn't process it. Who steals a tractor at dawn and drives it toward a gated subdivision? I grabbed my truck keys and ran. The HOA Willow Creek Homeowners Association, formed 2 years ago when developers bought the old Henderson Ranch and carved it into 80 luxury homes. $500,000 properties, retired executives, corporate transplants from California, and Patricia Whitmore, HOA president, 52 years old. Blonde bob cut that never moved in wind. Always wore blazers, pink, red, perfectly tailored, pearls, heels even at casual meetings. She smiled like a pageant queen and spoke like a prosecutor. I dealt with her exactly 3 times. First time, she welcomed me to a community integration meeting, said farmers and homeowners needed to cooperate. I nodded politely. Second time, she hand-delivered a notice about agricultural noise ordinances. Said residents complained about my tractor running before 8 a.m. I explained planting schedules don't care about sleep schedules. She smiled tighter. Third time last month, she mentioned something about updated property surveys and boundary clarifications. I didn't think much of it. Now driving 70 miles per hour down a 2-lane road, watching that blue GPS dot move through my phone screen, my gut twisted. I pulled onto the service road paralleling the HOA community. The GPS signal stopped moving. I zoomed in on the map. The tractor sat at 445 Meadowlark Lane, Patricia Whitmore's personal address. My heart slammed against my ribs, blood roared in my ears. I parked 200 yards away, hidden behind a landscaping truck, and grabbed my binoculars from the glove box. Through the lenses, I saw it, my tractor, parked behind her property. Massive gazebo under construction, probably 15 feet tall, cedar beams, stone foundation, and my John Deere was moving timber. Workers in orange vests operated the controls. Lifting, positioning. Building her project with MY equipment. Patricia stood 20 feet away, clipboard in hand, pink blazer bright against morning sun, directing them like a foreman. She was using my stolen tractor to build her personal gazebo. I sat there, binoculars shaking in my grip, watching the woman who smiled at community meetings commit felony theft in broad daylight. My phone showed 7:15 a.m. She'd had my tractor less than 30 minutes. How did she even know where it was? How did she get onto my property? How did she think she'd get away with this? And what the hell was I supposed to do now? I didn't think, I just moved. Truck door slammed behind me. My boots hit pavement. I walked straight through Patricia Whitmore's open gate, past the construction site sign that read Whitmore Gazebo Project Est. Completion May 2025. Every worker stopped. Circular saw went silent. Nail gun lowered. My tractor idled that distinctive John Deere rumble I'd know anywhere. Patricia turned. For 1 second, one beautiful second, her mask slipped. Eyes widened, jaw tensed. Then the smile returned. Jake Mitchell. Her voice carried that smooth, condescending tone people use when they think they've already won. Can I help you? I pointed at the tractor. That's mine. You stole my equipment, she laughed. Actually laughed sharp and cold like breaking glass. Stole? Hardly. She walked closer, heels clicking on flagstone. This tractor was abandoned on HOA easement property. Section 14, subsection C of our community bylaws clearly states any equipment left on common maintenance areas for over 24 hours becomes HOA property for community disposal or utilization. My blood turned to fire. Easement property, my barn sits 200 yards inside my property line. You cut my chains and stole. The property survey from last month shows different boundaries, Jake. Patricia pulled papers from her clipboard. Perfectly manicured nails, pink polish matching her blazer tapped against the documents. Your barn, as it turns out, sits on what is now classified as community maintenance area. The county approved our boundary adjustment 3 weeks ago. Impossible. My family owned this land since 1967. Original survey, original deed, original everything. No HOA existed when my grandfather bought this property. Besides, Patricia continued, stepping close enough I could smell her perfume, expensive, suffocating, you've been violating noise ordinances for months. Operating heavy machinery before 8 a.m., disturbing our residents' quality of life. Multiple complaints filed. Consider this, compensation for damages. My fists clenched. Every muscle in my body screamed to grab that clipboard and break it over my knee. Workers watched nervously. One guy, younger, maybe 25, looked genuinely uncomfortable. You can't just take someone's property, I said through gritted teeth. Patricia's smile widened. I didn't take anything, Jake. I'm simply enforcing community standards and utilizing abandoned equipment found on HOA-maintained land. If you have a problem with this, you're welcome to submit a formal complaint to the HOA board. We meet the third Thursday of every month. Meetings start at 7 p.m. There's a sign-up sheet for public comment. She turned away, dismissing me like I was nothing. Now I have work to supervise. You're trespassing on private property. Leave before I call security. I stood there, frozen between rage and disbelief. Behind her, my tractor lifted another cedar beam. The hydraulics hissed, a sound I'd heard 10,000 times. The machine my father bought, the equipment that kept my farm alive. Being used to build a gazebo for a woman who thought rules didn't apply to her. Patricia glanced back. Still here, Jake, I'm trying to be professional about this. Don't make me call the authorities. Call them, I said, voice steady now. Cold, please call the sheriff. Let's see what they think about your property survey. Her eye twitched just a flicker, but I saw it. The survey is county certified, legal and binding. You have no case. Then you won't mind if I get my own survey done. Patricia's smile tightened. Do whatever you want, waste your money, but that tractor stays here until the board reviews your complaint, which again is third Thursday. 3 weeks from now, 3 weeks. Planting season would be over, contracts voided, my farm finished. She knew exactly what she was doing. I walked back to my truck, hands shaking, vision blurred with fury. Behind me, the tractor rumbled back to life. Patricia's voice carried across the construction site. Let's stay on schedule, gentlemen. I want this gazebo finished by Memorial Day. I drove straight to Travis County Records office. 90 miles per hour on back roads. Hands white-knuckled on steering wheel. Brains screaming. The building sat downtown, 1970s architecture, faded brick, fluorescent lights that hummed like dying insects. Margaret Hayes worked the front desk. 71 years old, worked county records for 43 years. She knew my father, came to his funeral. I burst through the door at 8:47 a.m. Jake, Margaret looked up from her computer, reading glasses sliding down her nose. Honey, you look terrible. I need property records, my farm, and anything filed by Willow Creek HOA in the last 6 months. Her face shifted. Something dark flickered behind her eyes. What happened? I told her everything. The stolen tractor, Patricia's claims, the boundary survey. Every word came out like bullets, fast, angry, desperate. Margaret's expression hardened with each sentence. Come with me, she said quietly. We walked through narrow aisles stacked with filing cabinets and bankers' boxes. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead. The whole place smelled like old paper and government neglect. She pulled the original Mitchell property survey, filed February 1965, clean boundaries, clear lines. My barn sat 247 yards from the nearest property edge. Then she searched recent filings. Here, Margaret's finger stopped on a document dated April 3, 2025. Amended Property Survey Willow Creek HOA Expansion Authorization. The paper showed new boundary lines. My barn now sat 15 feet inside what was marked HOA Maintenance Corridor Public Easement. Impossible. This signature, Margaret said, pointing, it's supposed to be County Commissioner Davis. See, she pulled another document, a legitimate filing from March with Davis's real signature. They weren't even close. Different slant, different pressure. Wrong loop on the D. That's forged, Margaret whispered. My heart stopped. Are you sure? Jake, I've processed Commissioner Davis's signatures for 15 years. I'd stake my pension on it. This is fraud. She made 3 copies. Hands shaking slightly. There's been rumors, she said, voice barely audible. Other property owners, complaints about Patricia Whitmore, boundary disputes, equipment seizures. One man lost his vintage car. She claimed his storage shed violated setback requirements, had it demolished. Another farmer lost irrigation equipment. Copper piping worth $18,000. HOA claimed it, sold it for scrap. My stomach dropped. Why didn't anyone stop her? Margaret looked at me with sad, tired eyes. Jake, she's got money, connections. The HOA legal fund is over $400,000. Most people can't afford to fight. They just give up. She handed me the copies. You'll need a lawyer, a good one. But even then what? She's won every case so far, every single one. Either people run out of money or they settle. She's got the system figured out. I stared at the forged signature. This wasn't just theft. This was organized corruption. Systematic, calculated. What do I have? I asked. In my bank account right now, I've got $23,000. That's my entire spring planting budget. I can't afford lawyers. Margaret touched my hand. Her skin felt paper-thin. Warm. Your father was a good man, Jake. Best man I ever knew. Don't let them erase what he built. I walked outside. Sunlight hit like a hammer. I sat in my truck, documents burning in my passenger seat. Across town, Patricia Whitmore was using my tractor to build a gazebo. My phone rang. Unknown number. Austin area code. I answered. Mr. Mitchell, this is attorney Rebecca Walsh. I heard you might need help, and I think we need to talk today. Who are you? Someone who knows exactly what Patricia Whitmore is doing because she did it to my family too. Silence. Meet me at Magnolia Cafe on Lake Austin Boulevard. 1 hour. And Jake, bring those property documents. The line went dead. Rebecca Walsh sat across from me in a corner booth, sunlight cutting through window blinds like prison bars. Mid-40s, sharp suit, charcoal gray, perfectly tailored, dark hair pulled back tight, eyes that looked like they'd seen too much and forgotten nothing. She slid a business card across the table. Rebecca Walsh, property rights attorney. How did you know about me? I asked. Margaret Hayes called me an hour ago. We've worked together before. Rebecca pulled a thick folder from her briefcase. Jake, you're the 4th property owner Patricia Whitmore has targeted this year, 7th in the last 18 months. She opened the folder, photos, documents, legal filings, testimony. Bill Thompson, 63, farmer. Patricia claimed his irrigation system violated HOA water usage policies. Seized it, sold the copper piping for $18,000. Bill couldn't afford to fight, lost half his crops that season. Next page. Tom Perkins, 71, retired Air Force. Patricia had his memorial flagpole removed, called it visual pollution and unapproved architectural modification. Tom's father earned a Purple Heart in Vietnam. That flag was his legacy. She kept flipping pages. More victims, more stolen property, same pattern every time, forged documents, claim HOA authority, seize equipment or structures, profit or demolish. How is she getting away with this? My voice came out hoarse. Rebecca's jaw tightened. The HOA board, 5 members. Patricia controls 3 votes, her sister Dana, her yoga instructor Crystal, and a real estate agent named Marcus who she's allegedly having an affair with. The other 2 board members quit last month after she threatened them with nuisance lawsuits. She replaced them with her personal accountant and her brother-in-law. So she is the HOA. Exactly. Rebecca pulled out another document. And here's the beautiful part. Every time she seizes property, she claims HOA authority. But then the property gets used for private projects or sold through her brother-in-law's construction company. She's been laundering money through fake maintenance contracts and boundary adjustments for almost 2 years. I stared at the evidence. My brain struggled to process the scale. Why are you helping me? I asked. What's in this for you? Rebecca's expression changed. Something raw flickered across her face. 2 years ago, Patricia targeted my parents. They owned a small property adjacent to Willow Creek, 3 acres, old farmhouse, tool shed my father used for car restoration. Vintage Mustangs. He'd spent 30 years collecting parts, tools, equipment, his retirement dream. She paused, swallowed hard. Patricia claimed the shed violated setback requirements, had it demolished, 48 hours notice. My father tried to fight. She buried him in legal motions, $60,000 in lawyer fees. He had a heart attack 3 weeks after they tore down his shed, died in the ambulance. Her hands shook slightly holding the folder. But I know it was heartbreak, stress, watching his life's work destroyed by a woman in a pink blazer who smiled while signing demolition orders. Silence filled the booth. Outside, traffic hummed on Lake Austin Boulevard. Normal people living normal lives, unaware of the quiet war happening in their community. So what's the plan? I asked. Rebecca's eyes sharpened, all business again. We fight her legally, but first we gather ironclad evidence. Your GPS tracker, that's our smoking gun. We prove she knowingly stole your tractor, used it for private commercial gain across multiple properties. That's not civil dispute, that's felony theft. She pulled out a laptop. I need access to your GPS data, every location, every timestamp, every movement. I logged into the app on my phone, shared access. Rebecca's fingers flew across the keyboard. Perfect. Your tractor's been at 4 different locations in 3 days. Her gazebo, her sister's pool excavation, the yoga instructor's driveway expansion, and wait, she zoomed in on the map. She used it at a commercial construction site yesterday. That's her brother-in-law's shopping center project. Can we use this? Rebecca smiled, cold, tactical. Jake, we're going to bury her. 3 days of watching. 3 days of GPS coordinates updating every 15 seconds. 3 days of building an airtight case. Rebecca's office, small, cramped, walls covered in property maps and legal precedents. We sat staring at her laptop screen like it was a crystal ball showing the future. My tractor kept moving. Patricia used it everywhere. Her gazebo project, 14 hours total. Her sister Dana's pool excavation, 8 hours. Crystal the yoga instructor's driveway expansion, 6 hours. Commercial construction site owned by her brother-in-law Derek, 22 hours, each use documented, time-stamped. Photographed by the private investigator Rebecca hired, a former cop named Martinez who looked like he ate nails for breakfast. This is gold, Rebecca said, eyes gleaming. She's not just stealing your property. She's using it for private commercial gain across multiple properties. That elevates this from civil dispute to criminal felony theft. But there was more. Martinez delivered photos via encrypted email. Patricia meeting with Derek at construction sites. Documents changing hands, cash payments. Bank records showing HOA maintenance contracts worth $600,000 all going to Derek's company. Money laundering through fake easements and property seizures. The GPS pinged, tractor moving again, heading toward the community center. Rebecca checked her watch. Perfect timing. She stood, grabbed her briefcase. Jake, how do you feel about making an appearance at tonight's HOA board meeting? My pulse quickened. She'll have me thrown out. Not if you're there as a property owner requesting to address the board. It's in their bylaws, they have to give you 5 minutes for public comment. I checked. Rebecca's smile turned predatory. When you confront her, she'll either lie, which we can disprove with evidence, or admit the truth. Either way, we win. And I'll be there recording everything, her reaction, her words, all of it goes on record. I thought about walking into that room, Patricia at the head table, her controlled board flanking her. 20 residents who probably thought I was just some complaining farmer, but my father's voice echoed in my head, stand your ground, son, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Let's do it, I said. Willow Creek Community Center, 7:03 p.m. 22 people scattered across metal folding chairs, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, motivational posters about community unity on beige walls. Patricia sat at the head table, pink dress. Blonde bob perfect under harsh lighting. 2 board members flanking her, Sister Dana wearing too much makeup and Crystal the yoga instructor in athleisure wear. I walked through the door. Every head turned, Patricia's smile froze just for a second, then recalibrated. Jake Mitchell, how unexpected. I signed the public comment sheet, hand steady despite my heart trying to punch through my ribs. Rebecca slipped into the back row, phone positioned, recording. Patricia banged a wooden gavel. This meeting of the Willow Creek HOA board is called to order. First item on tonight's agenda. Landscaping contract proposals for the community entrance, point of order. My voice cut through the room, Patricia's eye twitched. Excuse me, I'm signed up for public comment. Section 7 of your bylaws states property owner concerns are addressed first before general business. Silence, someone in the back coughed. Patricia's smile tightened like a wire. Very well, Mr. Mitchell, you have 5 minutes, I stood. Legs solid, voice clear. 3 days ago, someone cut the chains on my equipment barn and stole my $200,000 John Deere tractor. That same tractor is currently parked behind this building. Gasps rippled through the room. Patricia laughed, that same cold, sharp sound. Mr. Mitchell, we've discussed this. That equipment was abandoned on HOA easement property according to a forged property survey. I pulled out Margaret's documents. This is the certified 1965 county survey showing my barn sits 247 yards inside my property line. The survey you filed 3 weeks ago, forged signature. Wrong seal number. County Commissioner Davis never approved it. The room erupted, voices overlapping, people standing, Patricia's sister whispering urgently. Patricia stood, face flushing. "You're accusing me of, I'm accusing you of theft, fraud. And I have GPS proof." Patricia's composure shattered like dropped glass. "GPS proof," her voice rose an octave. "You're tracking HOA property, that's illegal surveillance, that's... So you admit you took it?" Silence, deadly. Complete. 22 people stared at Patricia Whitmore, the woman who ran this HOA like her personal kingdom. The woman who smiled at every meeting and talked about community standards and property values. Her face went from pink to red to purple. That's not, you're twisting my words." I pulled out my phone, pulled up the GPS app, turned the screen toward the room. "This is the tracking data from my tractor, 3 days, multiple locations." I read from the screen. 445 Meadowlark Lane, your address, Patricia, used for gazebo construction, 12 hours total. 892 Willow Creek Drive, your sister Dana's address, pool excavation, 8 hours. 334 Sunset Ridge, Crystal's property, driveway expansion, 6 hours. And here's the best one, 240 Commerce Boulevard, commercial construction site owned by your brother-in-law Derek Whitmore. 22 hours. The room exploded. Bill Thompson stood up from the third row, older man, weathered face, work boots and flannel. "Patricia, did you actually steal his tractor?" Patricia whirled. "Bill, this is complicated property law that you wouldn't understand. I understand you took my irrigation system last year." Bill's voice shook. "Claimed it was on HOA land. You know what that cost me. $30,000 in replanting, lost contracts, my farm almost went under." Tom Perkins stood next, 70-something, ramrod straight, Air Force posture. "You took my father's flagpole. The memorial I built for a man who served 23 years and earned a Purple Heart. You called it visual pollution." More voices, more accusations. A woman in the back. "You had my fence removed." A younger guy. "You fined me $5,000 for parking my work truck overnight." Patricia slammed her hand on the table. "Security, remove these people." But there was no security, just neighbors, property owners. People who'd been pushed around for 2 years and finally saw the mask slip. "There is no security, Patricia." Rebecca's voice cut through the chaos. She stood, phone still recording. "And you're not removing anyone." She walked to the front. Placed a thick folder on the table. "Rebecca Walsh, property rights attorney. This folder contains forensic analysis of the forged property survey you filed. Financial records showing $600,000 in HOA contracts funneled to your brother-in-law's construction company. GPS evidence of equipment theft across multiple properties, and sworn testimony from 6 property owners you've systematically targeted over the last 18 months. Patricia's breathing came hard and fast, chest heaving. Pink dress stained with sweat under the arms. "You can't prove anything. This is harassment, defamation. I'll sue every single one of you." "Actually," Rebecca said calmly, "you'll be the one getting sued, civil court for fraud and theft. And I've already contacted the district attorney's office about potential criminal charges." Patricia grabbed her purse, hands shaking. "This meeting is adjourned." "You can't adjourn," Dana whispered urgently. "There's a motion on the floor." "We need a vote." "I said it's adjourned." Patricia's voice cracked, high, desperate. She looked at me, pure hatred burning in her eyes. "You've ruined everything, everything, my reputation, my family, my business. All because you couldn't follow simple HOA rules." "No," I said quietly, "you ruined yourself, I just stopped you." Patricia turned and ran, literally ran, heels clicking frantically across linoleum, out the side door, gone. The room sat in stunned silence. Then Bill Thompson started clapping. Slow, steady, Tom Perkins joined, then the woman in back, then everyone, 22 people standing, applauding, some crying. Rebecca looked at me. "Jake, I think we just won." But my phone buzzed, text from unknown number, "You're going to pay for this." I woke up to 17 missed calls, 4:32 a.m., still dark outside. Phone buzzing on nightstand like an angry hornet. First voicemail, "Rebecca, Jake, don't talk to anyone, media's picked up the story." I opened my laptop. Local news headline. HOA president accused of equipment theft in heated community meeting. But the article wasn't what I expected. It quoted Patricia's lawyer, Marcus Sterling, $800 per hour attorney from downtown Austin. The kind of lawyer who defended corporations and made problems disappear. His statement painted me as the villain. "Mr. Mitchell has repeatedly violated community noise ordinances, refused to cooperate with legitimate HOA authority, and is now making wild accusations to avoid paying accumulated fines totaling $15,000. Ms. Whitmore is a respected community leader who has dedicated countless hours to improving property values and resident safety." The comments section filled with poison. "These entitled farmers think they own everything. He probably was violating noise rules. My cousin lives near farms and it's unbearable. HOAs exist for a reason. Follow the rules or move." My stomach twisted. They were spinning the narrative, making me the problem. Rebecca called at 5:03 a.m. Don't read the comments, she said immediately. Too late. Jake, this is standard playbook. They control the story first, make you defend yourself, but we're 3 steps ahead. That afternoon, County Commissioner Davis held a press conference. I watched the live stream from my kitchen. Davis stood at a podium, reporters crowding close. After forensic analysis, I can confirm the signature on the amended property survey filed by Willow Creek HOA is not mine. It's a forgery. I'm ordering a full investigation into all HOA property filings from the past 24 months. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Patricia's lawyer released another statement within an hour. Ms. Whitmore relied on documents provided by certified county contractors. If there were errors in the filing process, she is a victim of clerical mistakes, not a perpetrator of fraud. Victim. She was calling herself a victim. Rebecca filed an emergency injunction that evening. Emergency court hearing. Judge Morrison, 60-something, former prosecutor, reputation for hating corruption. We're requesting immediate freeze of all Willow Creek HOA financial accounts pending investigation, Rebecca argued. Evidence suggests systematic misappropriation of funds through fraudulent contracts. Patricia's lawyer objected. Talked about presumption of innocence and overreach. Judge Morrison reviewed the evidence for 11 minutes, silent, expressionless. Then he signed the order. All HOA accounts frozen effective immediately. Funds released only for legitimate maintenance expenses, subject to court approval. Patricia's $400,000 legal war chest gone. She couldn't access it. Couldn't pay Marcus Sterling's retainer. Couldn't bury me in motions and delays. Rebecca smiled walking out of the courthouse. That's checkmate on the legal fees. Now she has to fight with her personal money. I drove home as sunset painted the sky orange and red. Pulled into my driveway. My phone rang, unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered, heavy breathing. Then Patricia's voice, raw, broken, nothing like the controlled HOA president. You've destroyed me. I said nothing. My reputation, my family, my standing in this community, everything I built, gone because you couldn't just follow simple rules. You stole my tractor, Patricia. I was enforcing community standards, her voice cracked. I was protecting property values, keeping this neighborhood from turning into some rundown farm town. By forging documents, by stealing equipment, by laundering money, silence, just breathing. You think you've won, she whispered, but you haven't. You've just made an enemy who has nothing left to lose. The line went dead. I sat in my truck, engine ticking as it cooled, staring at my dark barn. The barn where my father stored equipment, where he taught me to change oil and check hydraulics, where he told me, this land is your responsibility now, protect it. I was protecting it, but Patricia's last words echoed in my head. Nothing left to lose. That's when people become dangerous. 24 hours later, sheriff's cruiser pulled into Patricia Whitmore's driveway. I watched from my truck parked across the street. Rebecca sat beside me. Deputy Frank Marshall stepped out. I'd known him since high school. Good guy, fair, by the book. Patricia appeared from inside her house. She'd regained some composure, hair fixed, blazer on, but her eyes looked hollow, desperate. Deputy Marshall. Thank you for coming, smooth voice, controlled. Miss Whitmore, I'm here about the John Deere tractor registered to Jake Mitchell. I need to see documentation proving HOA ownership. Patricia pulled out her phone. Fingers shaking slightly. My attorney has all the files, but you said you had documentation when we spoke on the phone. The paperwork is in storage. I can get it. Ma'am, where's the tractor now? She pointed toward the back of her property. Marshall walked around the house. We followed at a distance. There sat my John Deere, mud-caked, diesel stains on the undercarriage, hours of hard use visible in every scratch and dent. Marshall checked the VIN number against my registration paperwork. This matches Mr. Mitchell's equipment. It was abandoned on HOA property. Patricia's voice rose. Section 14, subsection C clearly states, Ma'am, even if equipment is found on HOA property, there are legal procedures, notification requirements, seizure protocols. Did you notify Mr. Mitchell before taking possession? Silence. The HOA bylaws give us authority. Did you notify him? Patricia's jaw clenched. I want my lawyer present before I answer any more questions. Marshall nodded slowly. That's your right, but this tractor is evidence in an active investigation. It can't be moved or used until we complete our report. Patricia's face flushed. You can't just take HOA property. It's not HOA property, ma'am. Marshall's tone stayed professional but firm. It's registered to Jake Mitchell. And according to county records, it was taken from his private property without notification or consent. That's theft. This is a civil dispute between property owners, and theft of equipment valued over $100,000 is a felony in Texas. Not civil, criminal. The word hung in the air like smoke. Criminal. Patricia took a step back, all color drained from her face. I was enforcing community standards. The board approved. Ma'am, you might want to stop talking and call that lawyer. Marshall placed an evidence tag on my tractor, took photos from multiple angles, documented everything. Patricia stood frozen. Pink blazer too bright against the gray morning. Her perfect HOA president mask finally cracking completely. Marshall walked over to where Rebecca and I stood. Jake, this is being classified as felony theft pending investigation. We'll need your full statement and all GPS tracking data. You'll have it today, Rebecca said. Marshall glanced back at Patricia. She'd sat down on her porch steps, head in hands, shoulders shaking. She really thought she could get away with it, he said quietly. People like her always do, Rebecca replied, until someone stands up. We drove back to my property. The barn looked the same, but everything felt different. My phone buzzed, text from Bill Thompson, just heard the sheriff was at Patricia's house. Is it over? I typed back, not yet, but we're close. That evening local news ran the story. HOA president under investigation for equipment theft. Patricia's face on screen, looking haggard, lawyer beside her reading a prepared statement. Miss Whitmore maintains her innocence and looks forward to clearing her name through proper legal channels. But I saw it in her eyes during that broadcast. She knew she'd lost. The question was, what would she do about it? And how desperate would she become? I found out at 3:47 a.m. when my security alarm started screaming. Alarm shrieked through my house like a banshee. I grabbed my shotgun from the bedroom closet, hands steady, adrenaline surging, floodlights triggered automatically, flooding my property with harsh white light. Through the window I saw them. Truck backing up to my equipment barn, trailer attached, two men jumping out, construction workers in orange vests. And directing them from the passenger seat, Derek Whitmore, Patricia's brother-in-law, thick build, bald head. The construction company owner who'd profited from every piece of stolen equipment. They were trying to take more. I dialed 911. Operator answered immediately. Someone's attempting to steal equipment from my property. Mitchell Farm, 4450 County Road 145. I'm armed and going outside. Sir, stay inside until I hung up, chambered around, kicked open my front door. Stop, I've called the police. They froze. Deer in headlights. Derek stepped out of the truck, hands raised but expression arrogant. Easy there, Mitchell, we're just collecting HOA property. Patricia said, nothing here is HOA property, you're trespassing. And you've got about 3 minutes before sheriff's department arrives. One of the workers, younger guy, maybe 25, dropped a chain cutter. Derek, man, I didn't sign up for this. Shut up, Derek snapped. Then to me. Patricia has legal authorization. Board approved removal of contested equipment pending resolution. The board dissolved last week. There is no authorization. Headlights appeared down the driveway, but not police, not yet. Patricia's Mercedes, speeding, gravel spraying. She lurched out of the driver's seat wearing a sweatsuit, no blazer, hair wild, makeup smeared, not the polished HOA president, something broken, desperate. Give me the tractor, she wasn't asking, she was demanding, screaming, Patricia, go home. I kept the shotgun lowered but visible. Give me the tractor, her voice cracked. Raw, I need it, I have contracts, deposits. People expecting completed projects, if I don't deliver I lose everything. The truth spilled out like blood from a wound. She'd been using stolen equipment to fulfill construction contracts, taking deposits, promising timelines, building an empire on other people's property, and now it was collapsing. You lose everything, my voice stayed steady, cold. Lady, you stole everything. Derek grabbed her arm. Patricia, stop, let's go. The cops are coming, she yanked away, stumbled toward me, eyes wild. I needed the money, the HOA fees weren't enough, my business was failing. Do you know what it takes to maintain appearances in this community? The expectations. I just needed sirens, distant but getting closer. Red and blue lights reflecting off trees. Patricia collapsed to her knees, gravel biting into her skin, sobbing, full breakdown. I just needed to get ahead just once. Everything was supposed to work. The surveys, the contracts, the equipment, it was supposed to work. Deputy Marshal's cruiser skidded to a stop. He stepped out, hand on weapon, took in the scene, me with shotgun, Derek and workers frozen. Patricia on the ground crying, trailer and truck positioned for theft. Everyone stay exactly where you are. 2 more cruisers arrived, backup, lights turning my property into a crime scene. Marshall walked to Derek, turn around. Hands behind your back. I was just following orders. You were attempting to steal equipment from private property, turn around. Handcuffs clicked, the workers dropped everything, hands up, surrendering immediately. Marshall approached Patricia, she looked up at him, mascara streaming down her face, pink sweatsuit stained with dirt. Miss Whitmore, stand up please. She couldn't even move. Marshall had to help her to her feet. Patricia Whitmore, you're under arrest for attempted theft, trespassing, and conspiracy to commit theft. You have the right to remain silent. I watched them put her in the back of the cruiser. The woman who ran an entire HOA like a kingdom. Broken, defeated, destroyed by her own greed, 2 weeks of legal proceedings. 2 weeks of testimony, evidence submission, and watching Patricia Whitmore's empire crumble in real time. Travis County Courthouse. May 15th, 9:47 a.m. I sat in the gallery, Rebecca beside me. Bill Thompson, Tom Perkins, and 4 other victims filled the row behind us. Patricia entered through the side door. Blonde hair unwashed, gray suit no pink anymore, handcuffs removed for court appearance. Her lawyer, not Marcus Sterling anymore, she couldn't afford him, looked exhausted. Public defender doing his best with an unwinnable case. Judge Harrison presided, former Marine, combat veteran, 63 years old with zero tolerance for corruption. He'd spent the previous week reviewing everything, every document, every GPS record, every testimony. The prosecutor presented first, built the case methodically. Your Honor, the evidence shows Miss Whitmore engaged in systematic fraud and theft over 18 months. She forged government documents to create false property boundaries. She seized equipment and structures from 7 property owners. She used that stolen property for personal profit through her brother-in-law's construction company. Photos displayed on courtroom screens. My tractor at 4 different properties. Forged signatures. Bank records showing $600,000 in fraudulent contracts. The GPS tracking data proves Miss Whitmore knowingly transported and used stolen equipment across multiple locations. This wasn't civil dispute or misunderstanding. This was premeditated criminal enterprise. Patricia's lawyer argued for leniency, talked about first-time offender and community service and good intentions gone wrong. Judge Harrison listened. Expressionless, taking notes. When both sides finished, he looked directly at Patricia. Miss Whitmore, stand, she rose, shaking. I've reviewed all evidence in this case. What you did wasn't a simple mistake or overzealous HOA enforcement. You exploited your position of community trust to commit fraud. You forged government documents, a felony. You stole property from farmers, veterans, and elderly residents who trusted you to lead their community. His voice hardened. You targeted vulnerable people, those who couldn't afford expensive lawyers, and you systematically stole from them. You used their equipment and property for personal financial gain, and when confronted, you escalated. You attempted to steal additional equipment. You coordinated a midnight raid. Patricia's legs buckled, her lawyer steadied her. The court finds you guilty on all counts. Grand theft, forgery of government documents, fraud, and conspiracy. He paused. Let the words sink in. I'm sentencing you to 18 months in county detention facility, followed by 3 years supervised probation. You will make full restitution to all victims. Mr. Mitchell, your damages total $50,000 for lost income, legal fees, and emotional distress. Miss Whitmore will pay that amount plus all court costs. Patricia's sobbing filled the courtroom. Furthermore, Judge Harrison continued, I'm ordering immediate dissolution of the Willow Creek HOA board and appointment of an independent oversight committee to prevent future abuse. He banged the gavel. This case represents everything wrong with unchecked authority in homeowners associations. Miss Whitmore, you betrayed your community's trust for profit. That betrayal ends today. Guards led Patricia away. She glanced back once. Eyes meeting mine, no hatred now, just emptiness. Outside the courthouse, news cameras waited. Rebecca handled most questions. This verdict sends a message. Abuse of HOA authority will not be tolerated. Property owners have rights that cannot be erased by forged documents or corrupt boards. Bill Thompson shook my hand. Your dad would be proud. Tom Perkins saluted. You stood your ground, son. I drove home alone. Sunset painting my 40 acres gold and amber. My John Deere sat in the barn. Cleaned, serviced, returned. I climbed into the cab, ran my hand over the steering wheel, my father's tractor. His legacy protected. That evening I planted the north field, corn seeds dropping into rich Texas soil. The rumble of the engine felt like home, like justice, like winning. 6 months passed. 6 months of watching Willow Creek transform from Patricia's corrupt kingdom into an actual community. The old HOA board dissolved completely, new elections held. Bill Thompson won president, unanimous vote. First official act, rescind every fake ordinance Patricia had created. No more 8 a.m. noise restrictions, no more visual pollution complaints, no more weaponized bylaws designed to seize property. Second act, audit all financial records. Found an additional $240,000 in misappropriated funds, returned to homeowners as rebates on HOA fees. Third act, establish actual community programs. Not enforcement, not control, real neighborhood building. I attended the first new board meeting. October 12th, same community center where Patricia's empire collapsed, but different energy, people smiling, talking, no tension, no fear. Bill stood at the head table, no pink blazer, just flannel shirt and jeans. Welcome everyone. Tonight's agenda, fall festival planning, playground renovation proposals, and discussion about community garden space. Tom Perkins raised his hand. I'd like to donate the corner of my property for that garden, 2 acres, good soil, anyone interested can use it. Applause, a young mother stood. My kids want to help plant vegetables. Can we make this a family project? More applause. I sat there watching neighbors become actual neighbors, not property owners policed by a corrupt board, real people helping each other. After the meeting, Bill pulled me aside. Jake, we want to do something, memorial plaque in the community garden, honoring your father and everyone who stood up to corruption. My throat tightened. Bill, you don't have to, we do, your dad taught us farming. Your family's been here 60 years, and you saved this community by refusing to back down. The plaque went up 3 weeks later, simple bronze mounted on River Rock, in memory of those who stand their ground. Mitchell Family Farm Est, 1967, community is built on integrity, not control. Patricia got early release for good behavior, served 14 months. Last I heard she'd moved 2 counties away, working retail. Living with her sister, complete social exile. Her brother-in-law Derek's construction company declared bankruptcy. Lawsuits from clients who'd paid deposits for projects that never finished. Crystal, the yoga instructor, moved to California. The whole corrupt network dismantled, but the healing went deeper than just removing bad actors. Property owners who'd been victimized started talking, sharing stories, supporting each other. The veteran whose flagpole was demolished, community fundraiser rebuilt it. Bigger, better, American flag flying 20 feet high. The farmer who lost irrigation equipment, neighbors pooled money, helped him replace it. The elderly couple whose tool shed was destroyed, local contractors volunteered labor, rebuilt it in a weekend. What Patricia broke through corruption, the community repaired through cooperation. I drove past her old house one evening. New family moved in, kids playing in the yard. The gazebo she'd built with my stolen tractor had been demolished, replaced with a wooden playset. Justice takes many forms. Sometimes it's a courtroom, sometimes it's a community healing itself. Rebecca called occasionally. She'd taken on 8 more HOA abuse cases across Texas, creating precedent, changing laws, making it harder for others to exploit power like Patricia did. You started something, she told me. People aren't staying silent anymore, they're fighting back. One evening I stood in the same spot where this whole story began. My equipment barn, coffee in hand, sunrise breaking over 40 acres. The tractor sat secure, chains intact. GPS still tracking, not from paranoia, just efficiency now. My phone buzzed. Text from Bill, community garden producing like crazy. Got 200 pounds of tomatoes, come grab some. I smiled, typed back. On my way, that's what community looks like when corruption dies. People helping people, no control, no exploitation, just neighbors being neighbors. My father would have loved it. I'm standing in the same spot where this story began. Dawn breaking over 40 acres, coffee steaming in my hand. November morning, cool and clear. My John Deere sits in the barn, engine warm, ready for work. GPS tracker still active, not because I'm worried about theft anymore, but because I'm a farmer and efficiency matters. Everything's different now. The North Field produced the best corn yield in 7 years, contracts fulfilled. Income stable, my farm, my father's legacy thriving, but that's not the real victory. The real victory is what happened to this community. Willow Creek isn't perfect, HOAs never are, but it's fair now, transparent, accountable. Bill Thompson runs board meetings where people actually discuss community improvement instead of enforcing arbitrary rules. Tom Perkins' flagpole flies higher than ever. The community garden produced 4,000 pounds of vegetables last season, all donated to local food banks. Patricia Whitmore serves the rest of her probation in another county. I heard through Margaret at county records that she applied for expungement of her record. Denied, some consequences stick. I don't feel triumphant about that. I feel tired, vindicated but tired. This fight cost me sleep, money, and 6 months of my life consumed by legal battles. But it was worth it. Not for revenge, for principle. Because my father taught me something crucial: land isn't just property. It's responsibility, legacy. And when someone tries to steal that through corruption, exploitation, or abuse of power, you stand your ground, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Rebecca Walsh still calls every few weeks. She's representing 12 HOA abuse victims now across Texas, building precedent, changing state legislation, making it harder for future Patricias to exploit their positions. You started a movement, she told me last week. People aren't accepting corruption anymore, they're fighting back. That's the real lesson here. Most people stay silent when facing abuse of authority. They think they're too small, too poor, too isolated to fight City Hall or, in this case, the HOA board. But one person standing firm changes everything. One refusal to back down ripples outward. One GPS tracker. One forged document exposed. One community meeting where truth finally spoke louder than corruption. That's all it takes. I found an envelope in my mailbox 3 months ago, no return address, handwritten note inside. I'm sorry, I lost myself, lost everything. You were right to stop me. I burned it in my fire pit, not from anger, from closure. Patricia Whitmore was a human being who made catastrophic choices. She let greed and control consume her until she destroyed herself. I don't celebrate that, but I don't regret stopping her either. My phone buzzes. Text from Bill, board meeting tonight discussing spring festival, you coming? I type back, wouldn't miss it. That's what normal looks like. Community meetings about festivals, not fighting corruption. Neighbors helping neighbors, not stealing from them. I walk to the barn. Run my hand along the John Deere's hood, still warm from morning work. The tractor my father saved 15 years to buy. The machine that almost got stolen by a woman in a pink blazer who thought power meant she could take whatever she wanted. She was wrong, and now everyone knows it. The sun climbs higher. I've got 40 acres to tend, corn to plant. A community garden meeting this weekend. Life moves forward, but I'll never forget what happened here. Never forget that standing your ground, even when you're outspent, outmaneuvered, and facing someone with $400,000 in legal funds, still matters. Because sometimes the good guys actually win. And that's a story worth telling. If this story reminded you why fighting corruption matters, hit that like button. If you've ever faced an HOA nightmare or someone who abused their authority, drop a comment below. Tell me your story, tell me where you're watching from. Let's build a community of people who refuse to stay silent when power gets abused. Because your story matters too. And together we're proof that ordinary people standing firm can defeat extraordinary corruption. Stand your ground, always.